Hi guys, well the embargo is just lifted for the next Nvidia card, so we can now bring you our review of the RTX 3060 by way of this Gigabyte Gaming OC. So this is card number 5 to be released under Nvidia's Ampere architecture and 2nd gen RTX. Now we've already had the Ti, which provides excellent performance at 1080 and even 1440. And so what is the deal with this 3060 here? Well, this is likely to be the entry point for 2nd gen RTX and therefore be able to handle ray tracing, and it's also going to be cheaper and still be able to give us that performance which exceeds 60 frames per second at 1080 Ultra. Gaming OC is one of Gigabyte's long established product lines, which comes with a subtle factory overclock and which adopts the renowned WindForce 3 thermal solution. Being a fairly basic card, this is not going to stray too far away from the MSRP, so you guys can expect it to cost around $500 in the UK, $550 in the US, and then in Australia $880. Now you'll be only too familiar with the pricing fiasco which is affecting the GPU market at the moment. Those prices which I've just given you should be treated as a rough guide. There could well be some disparity and who knows what availability is going to be like. But anyway, let's crack on and check out this gaming OC in plenty of detail. Before we begin, today's video is brought to you by ASRock and the new Z590 Extreme Wi-Fi 6E. This board carries with it support for Intel's 10th and 11th gen processors, and among a great selection of features we get Wi-Fi 6E, which is 802.11ax, with the added support of 6 GHz wireless, which bring in faster speeds over Wi-Fi and lower latencies. Fast Ethernet is also available with this board, providing 2.5 gig Ethernet using ASRock's Dragon LAN. And new to ASRock's boards this generation is a handy graphics card holder, which will be useful given the fact that GPUs are getting bigger and heavier with each new release. For more info on the ASRock Z590 Extreme Wi-Fi 6E, please check out the link in the description. Okay, so here is the 3060 Gaming OC. As far as the physical appearance goes, you won't find any surprises as Gigabyte are keeping the design very similar to their other RTX 3000 series gaming OCs, and even the 1st gen RTX before it. So the shroud is plastic and it takes on this monochrome colour scheme, which is a safe choice because it will coordinate well with other hardware. As is customary for the gaming OC, we have the WindForce 3 thermal solution, which uses a triple fan design. As always, later in the video we're going to pull this cooler off the card for a closer look at the specifics. So if your kind of style is to keep things pretty neutral, then this card is a great choice. Even the RGB lighting has been kept low key, with just the Gigabyte logo having illumination, and that is of course customizable and can even be switched off using the RGB Fusion software. Now for the 3060, this card is large, but it certainly won't be the biggest available, so it should fit into most cases. But here are the dimensions for those interested. The length is around 280mm, for the width it is around 105, and then the height is 42mm. With a name like Gaming OC, you'd be right in assuming that this card has a factory overclock, and so the GPU clock boost has been elevated from the reference settings of 1777 up to 1837 MHz. The memory sits at the stock reference frequency of 15 gigabits, but we do get an impressive 12 gig of GDDR6 with a 192-bit bus. This card uses a PCI Express 4 standard, comes in there with 3584 CUDA cores, has the DirectX 12 Ultimate support, along with Vulkan 1.2 and OpenGL 4.6. Now in terms of the rear I/O panel, this card is a double slotter both in terms of the case and the PCI Express lanes. And on the back panel we have 2 DisplayPort 1.4s, those can give you the 8K at 60, and we also have 2 HDMI 2.1 ports, and that new standard allows you to tap into 4K at 120 and 8K at 60. And so plenty to choose from there for multi-display, and it's good there that we have more than one HDMI. Against other 3000 series GPUs, the 3060 is less demanding on the power, and as such you're only going to need a 500 watt power supply, and the requirement from that power supply is an 8-pin connection, and there is an LED indicator to let you know if it isn't properly connected or if there are any issues. Turning to the back of the card, we have a metal backplate which gives a bit of protection and provides some rigidity. The only ventilation on this backplate is at the tail end of the card, which allows for additional airflow for those cooling fans. On other gaming OC cards like the 3070 for example, we'd have a dual BIOS switch on this backside, but with the 3060 there is no option for this. Alrighty, well we've detached the WindForce thermal solution off our card and this is what we're presented with. We have three 80mm fans. The middle fan as part of this design will spin in a different direction with the concept of reducing turbulence. All fans have the 3D active tech, which is essentially Gigabyte's 0 decibel feature, meaning they're going to stop spinning when idle. Underneath those fans we have a triple heatsink design which has three composite copper heat pipes that have direct contact with the GPU itself, and that cooler also supplies cooling for the VRAM. And towards the end of the video we're going to see how this card performs in terms of the cooling. Having lifted that cooler off the card, we can now also check out the PCB, which as you can see is quite short. That overhang is purely for the heatsink. This particular model arrives with an 8-phase design, and according to Gigabyte they're using ultra durable certified chokes and caps right across this board for better longevity. And the driving force behind the 3060 is the GA106 GPU. This is now the 5th card under Nvidia's new Ampere architecture, and based on the spec of the GPU, the CUDA cores and the memory configuration, this card targets gamers who are using 1080p, and so it'll be interesting to see in a moment how it handles things when we slap on that ultra detailed preset. And so with that closer look out of the way, let's now check out the performance of this 3060 against the 2060 Super, which should offer a good like for like in terms of the RTX entry point for both generations. And we aren't going to just chat about the graphs here, instead we're going to show you actual side-by-side performance. And for this we're going to go with 1080p and the maximum detail preset in each game. Ray tracing will be switched on for Battlefield, and then for Cyberpunk we're going to use ray tracing and DLSS, which will be set to balanced. We'll be using the latest driver supplied by Nvidia, and we'll be using a game capture card to reduce any frame rate interference, and we'll also have GPUs that they're running in the background to pick up on the max temperatures. The result for that is going to come at the end. Okay, and if we just come out of our last game, let's see the max temperature result. And there we have it, pretty impressive. Okay, well that is the Gigabyte RTX 3060 Gaming OC, and up against the 2060 Super at 1080 Ultra, you're going to get similar types of results. The 3060 of course has those higher clock speeds. The 2060 Super though comes in with a faster memory bus, which kind of evens things out. The benefit of course with the 3060 is that second gen RTX, which has that updated deep learning super sampling. And so if 1080 is your resolution, then this is a good pick. It gives you that performance which kind of exceeds 60 frames per second in the most demanding of gaming titles. If your objective is to keep things pretty low key and without any of that RGB bling, then the Gaming OC is a good choice. The design marries up with other components of a similar neutral style, and that cooler performs exceptionally well. We found the temperature hitting around just 60 degrees under load, and as you'll discover in our web review, the noise level comes out at around 44 decibels on an open bench. So what do you guys think of this card here that we've been taking a look at? Have you managed to pick up a 3000 series GPU yet? And is the 3060 on your radar? Let's start some discussion in the comments section below. Now, for the web review of this card, which is going to feature a completely different set of gaming benchmarks and different resolutions, and of course comparison to previously reviewed cards like the 2000 series, click on that link which will be on the screen and in the description. I really do appreciate you guys supporting the channel. Take care, and I'll see you guys in the next one.